defenders. I think he's like.
Leandro Trossard to Besiktas, and we knew exits were necessary, but I must admit, I feel a lot worse about him going than I actually should feel. I think the first thing is, I don't know Mikel Arteta, I don't know Andrea Berta, but you're not going to sanction Trossard leaving unless there's an incoming, whether that's a level raiser, whether that's a household name, whether that's, someone that isn't known to the casual football fan like myself, and they sign for Arsenal and do well. I don't know. Now, again, we knew it was probably going to be Trossard or Martinelli. Again, what Trossard has on his, the favors of us selling Trossard would have obviously been he's 31. He could get good wages elsewhere, maybe not at Arsenal, as much as he gets at Arsenal. Sorry, obviously on that he might get a longer term deal and he might face a more prominent role because Trossard and Martinelli, it's whichever one's flavor of the month. Typically throughout a season, when one plays, whichever one starts, we want the other one in it. So there's always been that. Martinelli could have went maybe with the market being fucked, and if people were interested in Martinelli, rightly or wrongly, Arsenal would go. Anthony Gordon went for this much. Martinelli's playing for Brazil. He's a Premier League winner. Yada yada yada. We want this. He's obviously on bigger wages and things. We knew one of them would probably go. Both could be a possibility. That's probably not realistic. And with keeping Martinelli, pace is for all of Martinelli's faults. Pace is something in his arsenal, in it. Like Trossard don't really have that. I'm gonna miss Trossard if I'm honest with you. I am gonna miss him, man. I first thing I would say to him is on paper, value for money, you're Mikel Arteta's best attacking signing. What, we signed you for 21 million. We have to thank not Mikel Arteta or anyone. We have to thank Mudryk, because if that deal didn't fall through, we wouldn't have got Trossard. When I think of Trossard, I think cult hero and I think clutch. Numerous clutch moments, numerous good finishes. Probably played more of a prominent role last season than maybe he even expected, and that would decrease if he played less football. But clutch, cult hero, won a Premier League, technical ability, had some very good moments, has a decent goal scoring record, and value for money. He's been one of them. Like in my 31 years, he's in that bracket of cult hero for me. And that I wouldn't say Santi Cazorla's an Arsenal legend. I wouldn't begrudge it if you do, but I would say Santi's a cult hero because 2014, I was there at the FA Cup final on top of everything he's done. When I hear cult hero in my 31 years, my thoughts go towards two people. First would be Romford Pele, Ray Parlour. Second would obviously be, forgetting his name now, Freddie Longberg. And I think Leandro Trossard for me is kind of in that kind of category, people, if I'm honest with you. There's a market for him. You go Besiktas, they're one of them teams like Gala and Fenerbahce. Turkish football is crazy. You're going to be competitive. I think the tax laws in Turkey mean you're going to get paid and you're probably going to get a better deal. So I wish you all the best. Apparently he had Premier League interest, so I'd rather him go abroad. Again, we still need to wait for this deal to be confirmed because a fee's been agreed. He needs to agree personal terms. We're not going to see that until Belgium go out of the FA Cup, World Cup. Trossard leaves with my respect, people, if I'm honest with you, man. Again, 17 million for a 31-year-old. I think that's good value. Obviously, we're juggling many plates in it. We need to. Trossard's obviously gone. Jesus Nelson, Fabio Vieira, Norgard, potentially Kepa are probably going to be the ones through the door. There's obviously, rumors around the Kai Havertz's, the Odegaards, the Benjamin Whites, on top of us wanting to bring people in, man. But yeah, for me, Trossard's a cult hero. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a legend or an all-time great, and I'm not necessarily saying he's going to be someone whose name we're going to sing at the Emirates in the next 30 years. But he's achieved history, man. You need players like this, if I'm completely honest. And the only thing against Trossard is you just wish he was a bit younger. And when we was linked with that Zolis guy, granted we haven't got that done, just by looking at him online and the way he moves, I got the vibe that he's a younger Trossard versus you're the next model of Martinelli. Same way, it's not going to make sense. But if we sign Bacola, I would have thought Martinelli, you're in issues. Side note, you see Bacola with France versus Paraguay. I mean, the referee in the Paraguay games are absolute madness. I swear Paraguay didn't even get yellows, let alone reds. They were, dark art specialist type thing, right? Bacola don't move me across 90 minutes. Now, I'm having Bacola. I think there's a lot of potential. I'm not here to say who's better and whatnot, but I would group Bacola as, the champagne version of Martinelli and Noni Madueke. Good players, consistency, consistent performance over 90 minutes. You're left wanting more, capable of moments of brilliance, and you find yourself having those conversations. If you could just get more consistency and scratch and unearth that and realize that potential, Bacola would be great. I think pace is an asset. So if you could have a Bacola and a Martinelli, great. But you saw Doué. Now, granted, Doué started the World Cup. Bacola's wrestled that shirt. Doué came off the bench and did well. That's why you need a squad. The World Cup shows it as much as throughout the course of a season type of thing. But beyond the obvious, Doué, because Paraguay didn't want to get broken down, right? Didn't want to get broken down. You saw Doué win a penalty in tight spaces. We need people like that, not necessarily pace, in my opinion. Although pace is an age-old thing in football. You'd want that, people. So yeah, man, big up Trossard, man. Every successful squad needs, the headline men, the Declan Rices of this world, the Sakas, the Salibas, the Gabriels, the David Rayas, yada, yada, yada. But you need squad players, man. You also need players who can come in when the noise is loud, when the team looks flat, and things of that ilk. And, you could argue he scored the goal that won us the Premier League, obviously West Ham away. Trossard, I don't know what your best finish for Arsenal Football Club would be, because I'd have to go and watch them all again. You scored numerous great goals, man. I did like the goal you scored against Sunderland in the season that's just gone, potential goal of the season. It's probably not his best goal. He scored a cracker against Aston Villa, if I remember correctly. He scored some clutch goals, man. I'm definitely sure he's bagged one against United. I could be wrong. But for me, a couple of years ago, Liverpool away, it started on the left-hand side, and it was like he managed to just somehow pull it in the back of the net. Against Alisson. That would be my favorite goal. I'd also throw Arshavin for me, just me and my thoughts as a cult hero, by the way, man. I got a lot of time for Trossard. You was never the poster boy. You was never really the face of the project. You was never the signing Arsenal fans were dreaming about, but you was a player we looked at other clubs and thought, oh, we could have a go with that. And it made sense. Even when you look at his agent saying he offered Trossard to Arsenal and thought Trossard's an Arsenal player. Arsenal like players like this. It makes sense, man. Obviously we all remember the frustration when we was going for Mikhail Mudryk and the pursuit of that, and thank the Lord we never spent 70+ million on that. Who knows? He signs for Arsenal. His current climate at Chelsea might look a bit different, but yeah, man, I've got all the time for Trossard, man. He can play off the left, play in the 10, play off the right. Consistency over 38 games was wanted, but he had some very good moments, man. And again, you leave as a Premier League winner and you're leaving on a high, and that's something for me, the Trossards, the Gabriel Jesuses, potentially the Benjamin Whites. At least they kind of leave on a high, I should say. And, they leave etching their names in history versus, the previous 3 years prior to us obviously getting over the line, people. He scored, he gave us big goals, he gave us versatility, he gave us composure, he gave us attitude, he gave us no excuses, he gave us 100%, people. I'm so sure even Fulham away in his first season as well, people. Like, I got a lot of time for him. Clean touches, high IQ, right decisions, end product. Obviously, even going back to the Community Shield in his first season, maybe second, I don't know, people. But he did whatever. He's never going to be the loudest personality, the loudest player, the biggest of shirt sellers. But, when you look back, I do think there'll be an element of us looking at Trossard's consistency with rose tints, but also extremely underrated, man. There were so many games where we just needed a moment of brilliance, and the Belgium delight made it happen, people. It was necessary. What I hope now is this is the first domino to fall, and obviously, Trossard's probably on 100 K a week. You're getting a transfer fee the resources can be reinvested, especially whether you look at players that need to be moved on with wages, players that could bring in a fee. The biggest exit I think we could make in terms of a fee is something I don't want to do, which is Nwaneri. But if you were to get 50 for Nwaneri, 17 for Trossard, there's rumors we want 20 million for Gabriel Jesus. I think we're bugging out, but if you get rid of him and you get the wages from him, Reece Nelson, that's over 300 grand a week. Throw Fabio Vieira's there. I'm not even saying Kepa and Norgard have to move on, because Kepa can stay being second choice keeper, but you move them on top of the transfer kitty we already have, pre-sales. You add that together. There's no reason why, for me, first of all, we can't sign a left wing and a central midfielder that are level raisers, a versatile defender to help us across the course of a season where we're playing 50-odd games. Anything else Mikel Arteta deems he wants. Obviously, we probably need a backup goalie. I wouldn't mind a striker. If there's a market opportunity like Julian Alvarez, obviously I know we're not getting him, or an emerging prospect like Krupi, obviously I'm not getting him. Park some of that money towards next year, in which I think the start of the 2027-28 season is probably where we look for a striker. And if we're honest, Trossard's always, I wouldn't say 1 foot out the door, but his 1 foot has always been etched to the door. You're always one that could have been moved on. So from a human point of view, I get him moving on and wanting to play and have more of a prominent role. From an Arsenal point of view, I get it that you like Trossard, you favour Trossard, but there's an offer that you can't refuse. 31, his value is high. It's probably at the highest it's been at Arsenal. I understand it. From a fan's point of view, including myself, I understand that on A, we need to move him on or move players on, but B, there is an element of sadness. So thank you for your moments, man. Cult heroes are not always the players who have been here for 10 years. Sometimes they're the players who came in at the right time and gave you exactly what you need. When Trossard came in, our project was getting very serious. When he arrived, there was no longer Arsenal trying to be respectable. We're trying to be elite. He leaves this season with being the first choice left winger, if I'm completely honest with you. Like, he's starting the Champions League final. We know the left-hand side is lopsided, whether it's because of injuries or not finding a left winger. But for large parts of last season, Trossard and Calafiori, that is when we looked the most balanced. Obviously, when Hincapié wrestled that shirt from Calafiori, that's the same. So my point of saying that is to say this, if we needed to fix the left-hand side on the best of days, we definitely need to do that right now, people. So Trossard can leave with his head held high, in my opinion. Let's actually see what Trossard's ended his Arsenal career on paper in terms of his statistics, people. Give me a sec. I'll share my screen with you guys, people. So yeah. There we go. Before any of that, just in case you've been living under a rock, the Athletic have reported Besiktas agreed €20 million deal with Arsenal for Leandro Trossard move, people. Besiktas have agreed a €20 million, which equates to £17.1 million deal with Arsenal to sign Trossard. The deal consists of an €18 million fee with a further €2 million in add-ons, but the transfer is not yet completed, with wages up to around $9 million a year and personal terms in the process of being finalised. Trossard only has a year left on his contract after agreeing new terms with Arsenal in August 2025 that granted the forward a significant pay rise, but did not extend his stay at the Emirates beyond the already set expiry of 2027. So that was to reward his prominence in the role and how he's grown at Arsenal, but we didn't extend it in terms of length. So that tells you were always one that could be moved on. You weren't necessarily here for the future type of thing. And to be fair, Trossard's wages, Zolis is probably not going to be on as much, or he might be on something handsome, but probably not where Trossard is. I do think a mandate for Berta, beyond everything he's done at Arsenal and his reputation, has been to sort the wages out, has been to make us a better selling club. And also, from what you can salvage with the Trossards, the Fabio Vieiras, the Kepas, the Jesuses, the Nelsons, etc., get us some money in with what you can in it type of thing, if that makes sense. So, yeah, big up Trossard for that. I think it's a good fee, if I'm honest with you. And yeah, you're going to play more of a prominent role. You're going to get decent finances, and you're probably going to get a longer-term contract. I don't know why it's showing his World Cup exploits, where admittedly he does look quite good at the World Cup. If I'm honest, Trossard's doing his thing, man. Some of these assists, we're going to miss them. What is going on here? I don't want to see what he's done for Belgium. I want to see what he's done for Arsenal. Okay. Well, in the Premier League, 52 goals, 41 assists in 239 games, people. For Arsenal, 36 goals, 34 assists in 174 appearances. Decent player, man. I know the stats aren't necessarily eye-catching and things of that ilk. There was a season he turned assist king, innit? If we're honest with you, if we're honest with ourselves, all of our attackers, they had their moments, they had periods of consistency, but that level of consistency across the season, it's come from the Declan Rices and our defensive ethos throughout the whole team and our defenders. We need that from our attackers. Now, a lot of that has to do with Arteta's tactics, but we need attackers we can bet on. Us needing a left winger isn't anything new. We've known for years, innit? As I said, sometimes Trossard has his purple patch, Martinelli has his purple patch. Whichever one starts, we want the other one off. A bit like what we see with Rashford and Anthony Gordon for England, to be fair. And when you look at it, he's not alone because, let's be honest, bar maybe Gyökeres when he wrestled it towards the end of the season, the goal return of our attackers is mediocre this season. Yes, there's factors, man, have been injured, tactics. Obviously, we won the Prem, so we just got over the line. But you want to look on the left-hand side, he had a hand in 12 goals in 31 appearances. But for someone that was probably our starter, 6 goals, 6 assists in 31 Premier League games, it ain't good enough. One goal in the Champions League, yes, 5 assists, 11 assists and 8 goals in 50 appearances. We probably... we need players that can shoulder more of the burden. Last season, he got 10 and 10 in 56 appearances, 38 games. So he featured in all of them last year, got 8 goals, 8 assists. The season before that would have been 2023-24. He got 12 Premier League goals, to be fair, and 2 assists. So he got 17 goals in all comps, 3 assists in all comps with 46. There was a year you was assist king for us, man. Where is that? Oh, it might have been this one, to be fair, where he got 8 goals and 13 assists in all comps out 39, which equates to the Premier League 36 appearances, 8 goals, and 13 assists, people. You weren't here 21, 22. Yeah, you were. You might have been, you know. You might have been. You might have been, or I might be making this up. No, you wasn't. No, you wasn't. Apologies, people. He was at Brighton. So best of luck to you, Trossard. Do you lot advocate the Trossard? Did you rather Martinelli or Trossard go? Let me know.
You always